At dawn on May 27, 2015, Swiss police officers moved silently through the lobby of Zurich's most exclusive hotel. They were armed with arrest warrants. Acting under instructions from the U.S. Department of Justice, they pulled 7 senior FIFA officials from their rooms at the Bowerlock. It was the opening move in the largest anti-corruption sting in the history of sports. The dominoes had started falling with Chuck Blazer. He was a power broker for American soccer, who kept 2 apartments in Trump Tower, one reportedly reserved for his cats. He had spent years collecting massive bribes in exchange for his votes on the 1998 and 2010 World Cups. When agents caught Blazer for millions in unpaid taxes, they offered a choice: handcuffs or cooperation. He chose the latter, spending his final years wearing a wire hidden in a key fob to record his colleagues from the inside. The arrests in Zurich targeted more than individual corruption. They were a violent reset designed to purge the rot from world football forever. In the immediate fallout of the raids, Sepp Blatter, FIFA's seemingly untouchable president of 17 years, was forced to step down. His replacement, Gianni Infantino, arrived in 2016 on a wave of structural reforms. He stood before the FIFA Congress and promised to restore respect to the organization, predicting that the entire globe would stand up and applaud. 10 years later, in May 2025, an international coalition of human rights experts, legal scholars, and FIFA whistleblowers published a joint statement assessing those reforms. Their conclusion is blunt. Despite the most sweeping anti-corruption bust in sports history, these experts argue FIFA is actually more poorly governed today than it was 10 years ago. The suspicions surrounding the 2018 and 2022 World Cup bids forced FIFA to do something it had previously resisted: investigate its own crowning achievements. FIFA hired Michael J. Garcia, a former U.S. attorney, to lead the inquiry. He spent years compiling evidence, eventually delivering a damning 350-page report to the Ethics Committee. But instead of acting on his findings, FIFA leadership locked the document away, refusing to publish the full text, citing vague confidentiality rules. What they did release was a heavily sanitized 42-page summary written by a German judge. This truncated version cleared both Russia and Qatar to host their respective tournaments. Hours later, Garcia publicly disavowed the summary as materially incomplete and erroneous. Shortly after, he resigned from his post, citing a total lack of leadership within the organization. The Garcia investigation demonstrated that FIFA's internal ethics apparatus functioned more like a secretive intelligence agency, prioritizing the organization's reputation over public accountability. When the 2016 reforms were drafted, they left FIFA's true structural power dynamic untouched. It is a system known as the patronage model. As a global governing body, FIFA generates billions in revenue. It redistributes a large proportion of this money downward to its member associations and confederations, ostensibly to develop the sport locally. However, there is very little evidence showing this money actually reaches the pitch. Instead, the steady flow of cash secures the loyalty and allegiance of those member associations, keeping the executive branch in power. Because the executive branch controls the purse strings, the member associations rarely provide pushback. This cycle allowed the leadership to quietly and systematically dismantle independent oversight mechanisms. Because the underlying financial incentive structure was never fixed, FIFA was able to reverse its much-applauded 2016 reforms by 2024, proving a corrupt system will always eventually reboot itself. In the modern era, rule-bending has become a legalized part of the administrative process. Illegal kickbacks have been replaced by institutionalized authority. Political decision-making has been concentrated into a mechanism called the Bureau of the FIFA Council. This group consists solely of the FIFA president and the heads of the 6 continental confederations. We saw this concentrated power in action during the bidding for the 2034 World Cup. FIFA altered its own requirements to ensure that Saudi Arabia would be the sole eligible bidder, entirely bypassing a democratic vote by the FIFA Congress. The reward for this administrative maneuver was immediate. Shortly after, FIFA secured a lucrative sponsorship deal with the Saudi state-owned entity Aramco, alongside a massive broadcasting agreement. Corruption at FIFA has evolved from a legal individual greed to the legalized state-level extraction of wealth and power. These boardroom maneuvers carry physical consequences. The focus on revenue extraction has led to punishing fixture congestion for players, while meaningful action on unequal pay in the women's game remains stalled. Off the pitch, the consequences are fatal. The aggressive expansion into countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia relies heavily on exploitative migrant labor, resulting in thousands of unexplained, preventable deaths. The 2025 Fair Square Coalition Statement identifies a fundamental reality. FIFA is structurally unfit to govern world football and has proved it will not reform itself. Only direct pressure from international governments can impose accountability from the outside. The sport can no longer be left to police itself. The 2015 FBI raid successfully picked a few bad apples off the branches, but the roots were left untouched, and they continue to poison the soil. It is time to pull the tree out of the ground.